Testing, testing, we're good. All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today on this day of remembrance and awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, boys and men. Tansay, have a wash day? Tanshay. My name is Mitch Winston-Taylor, and I'm the Indigenous Engagement Coordinator for the Town of Devon. First, I want to acknowledge Jackie Morin today for opening us up with a smudging prayer. This morning, we will hear from our Mayor of Devon, local RCMP Sgt, residents of Devon, and nation members of Muskegee. Devon welcomes you all here today. I thank you each and every one of you for being here with us, in prayer and in spirit. I thank those who are watching us virtually today for our live stream event, and for your involvement and support in this day of awareness. I'd like to also commend our administration, the Devon Library, RCMP, Fire Hall, and our town office. Each of these buildings, we've hung a red dress today in support of the survivors, the families, and the victims of the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls epidemic. Today we gather here on Treaty 6 territory and on MNA Region 4 to come together in prayer, remembrance, solidarity, and hope. Across North America today, people are using May 5th to create awareness about the missing and murdered Indigenous peoples epidemic. Today and every day, we acknowledge our friends and relatives who have lost a loved one, who have been affected by violence, racism, hate, and those who have fallen victim to this tragic epidemic. As a community, we must continue to create awareness and to be allies with our Indigenous brothers and sisters. We must work together to prevent the loss of more lives, and come together not to only commit to awareness, but to action as well. Near the end of our awareness event, we will join our brother Rocky Morin and sisters of Muskegee in song and prayer. Today, keep those who have been lost to this violence, those who have been affected by this epidemic, in your thoughts and your prayers. Let's keep their memory alive and their spirits close. So with that, I'd like to invite our great Mayor of Devon, Mr. Ray Ralph, to say a few words and open us up with a land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mitch. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for inviting me here today for this important event where we recognize the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls National Day of Awareness. Before we begin, I would first like to acknowledge the land we are on today. The Town of Devon acknowledges that we are on Treaty 6 territory, the homeland of the Métis, and within the traditional lands the Nihiyiwak, Niitsitapiis, Isa, Igsa, and Anishinaabe peoples. We commit to keeping the spirit and intent of Treaty 6 alive through continued collaboration with all Indigenous people and by working towards a brighter future together. Today we gather here in Devon to remember our Indigenous friends, neighbors, and relatives who have gone missing or have been murdered. These relatives are women, men, and children, sisters and brothers, aunts and uncles, mothers and fathers, wives and husbands. We are facing an epidemic across the country of Indigenous women, girls, and boys going missing and being lost to senseless violence. In 2019, the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls report concluded that persistent and deliberate human and Indigenous rape violations and abuses are the root of Canadians' staggering rates of violence against Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit community. This sobering reality is one we must face altogether. This is not an issue that is a them problem. We as allies and as the community within Treaty 6 territory each have a responsibility and a role to play. We must stay vigilant and proactive and work together with our Indigenous friends and families to ensure the safety of Indigenous women, girls, and boys. Devon is fully committed to the safety and well-being of its Indigenous residents and to those who visit our great community. If you notice something out of the ordinary or someone who may be in an unsafe situation, please report it to your local RCMP or community peace officers. Today is a day to create awareness about missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and boys, and we are here together in person, virtually and in spirit, standing in solidarity with those who have been impacted by this epidemic. We hang a red dress in front of our town office to show our support for those who have been lost a loved one, and to remember those who have fell victim to these crimes. We gather here to remember those who have been taken from their friends and families, and to never forget their legacies. This violence can and must end. We must commit to action that ensures Indigenous women, girls, and boys are safe in our communities. We all have an active role in playing in ending this ongoing tragedy, but we can ensure and end the missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and boys by working together as a community and as allies with the Indigenous peoples. Through empathy, awareness, and collaboration, we can make our communities safer and more vigilant. In Devon, we are proud to have such a great relationship with our Indigenous neighbors as we continue to work alongside all nations through spirit and intent of treaty to create a safe, welcoming, and progressive community. Change starts with education, and we can break the chain of violence against Indigenous people by educating ourselves and working with the Indigenous community. There are many resources out there and ways to become involved, and I invite all of you to access these resources and play an active role in keeping Indigenous women, girls, and boys safe. Aye aye, each day, and thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Ralph. Now I'd like to invite the Sergeant of the Devon RCMP Detachment, Sergeant Chris Mosley.
Thank you, Mitch. As the commander of the Devon Royal Canadian Mounted Police, I stand with you today to remember and bring awareness to the many missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls across Canada. Early on in my career, I was posted to Smithers, British Columbia, where I had the opportunity to meet many people that had suffered the loss of a loved one through that town around the Highway of Tears, famous for the number of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls in that area. The heartbreaking loss that the families experience is something that I don't want to see experienced by anyone in our town, our province, or our country. So today I stand here to confirm the Devon Detachment's commitment to ensuring that we can all enjoy a safe and inclusive community, and I believe that by working together, like we are here today, that we can make this so. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sergeant Mosley. Now I'd like to invite up local Devon resident, Ms. Sharon Gladue-Paskimin.
Danse. Mayo Kisigo. Translation is hi. It is a good morning. My name is Sharon Gladue-Paskimin. I'm a Treaty 6 Cree member from the Thunderchild, Saskatchewan Cree Territory. My Indian name given to me prior to my apprehension by the Saskatchewan Children's Services is Blue Thunder Woman. I am a fellow Devonian and proudly call Devon my home fire. Today I was graciously asked and invited to speak about the murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls, and also the LGBTQ community, and the boys and the men. I am a 60 scoop survivor. I was taken in 1975. The federal and provincial governments thought we, as family, Indigenous peoples, would be better off in foster care. We were taken from our community, family, culture, language, and subjected to horrors of abuse from foster families. I, myself, became a runner. Now that I think about it, I was taken from a loving, nurturing environment and placed into a world of despair, and I ran. I remember packing up my little backpack and hiding it. And when no one was watching, I'd slip out. I hitchhiked, I walked, I ran, I hid, sometimes for protection from perpetrators. I could myself have been a statistic. Indigenous women make up only 16% of all female homicides and 11% of missing women. And we only make up 4.3% of the population in Canada. We are 3 times more likely to become victims of violence. What most of us Indigenous women feel is that no one but our own close-knit families really care about us. Yet we do not have the luxury of walking around feeling safe. We normally walk in pairs or in crowds or with dogs, and thank goodness for modern technology. A story that a 60 scoop survivor had reached out to me, and she had we were talking about how the connection between the 60 scoop and the murdered and missing, there's a really strong correlation in those statistics. And what she was telling me is that when her daughter and their friends, when they say goodbyes at the end of the day or at the end of their visits, they always say, please don't get taken. And that's exactly how we feel when we walk around. These statistics do not have a clear stat as to how many Indigenous women and girls are murdered or missing. We still don't even have a clear indication as how many Indigenous children are still missing from the 60 scoop. We were told back in 2018 from the federal government and their lawyers that over 135,000 children were taken across Canada, and those are only for status Indians, no recorded numbers of the Métis or the non-status. And sadly, only 25,000 of us are left. So where is the 110,000? Where are the poor children that were taken? Where are these murdered and missing women? Where are they buried? Where are they? No one will ever know. That is why we wear red today, to honor all those that are lost by murdered or being missing. We wear red to honor as those walking in the spirit world will see us honoring them. We will never forget, and I ask our allies to stand strong with us and help us fight the injustices that we Indigenous people can continue to face in Canada, whether it be through the child welfare system, the injustices through the judicial system. We could go on and on about the injustices that we face in Canada, but today is not about that day. Today is about honoring those that have been victim of the injustices in Canada, and also for those that do not want to listen, and that we are trying to find our own people, our families, our sisters, our aunts, our grandmothers, and our daughters that are still missing out there. We want to find them, and sometimes we cannot. walk into ceremony, we crawl into ceremony, asking for spiritual help to see where they are, where they're buried, if in case they are murdered. So today, I ask you, dear allies, to please stand with us, stand strong, and help us fight the injustices that we Indigenous people continue to face today. I hope.
Thank you, Sharon, for those words. I'd now like to invite Rocky Morin from Muskegee, if you'd like to say a few words as well.
I just greet everybody today, my friends. Very grateful. It's a beautiful day today to come here and to support our neighbors in this in honoring this day today. In Enoch, Muskegee is our traditional name, which really acknowledges the land of the medicines. But our elders often remind us, every time we acknowledge the land, we acknowledge the female, we acknowledge the woman, the grandmothers, our ancestral grandmothers that at one time, lived on these lands. So I'm always grateful when I get to share a little bit, because it always allows me the opportunity to share some of the teachings of our elders. The words I share is what's been shared generationally in our community in this area. So I want to thank Mitch for the protocol, really, because this is really an important, it's a beautiful gesture of commitment and honesty and truth, and these values, these traditional values in which we work towards. And tobacco is always important because it allows us to maintain a good relationship. They say tobacco is a sacred medicine, and it speaks on all of our behalf. So anytime it's presented and acknowledged in gatherings such as this, there's a lot of work that we might not realize that is being done for us. So I'm really thankful for that, and to be able to come as well to bring the drum, really to come sing and honor this event. At the same time, we honor the land, we honor everybody here in this gathering, everybody in this town as well, the neighbors and everyone in our community. The drum as well speaks for all of us, speaks on our behalf. It's a voice for all that we do. I also want to acknowledge the land acknowledgement. That's such a beautiful gesture. Every time I hear that, it really, if you listen to those words, it's really quite something as to how we are where we are today compared to some years back, how it was for many of our ancestors. So the town of Devon, Nahdamik, is the word in which we would refer to this town, and that word it refers to the land, its proximity to where we are. Really, it's talking about an area that is up the river. We've always known Devon to be that. So I'm grateful for the ongoing work that this community has been doing. I'm always thankful to come support in whatever way that I can. And I would also like to just acknowledge to the many families affected, missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. I want to thank Sharon for her beautiful words as well, because it is something that affects our communities daily. And I used to hear the word quite a bit, intergenerational trauma, but one word that recently I've been hearing a lot of is intergenerational healing. And I think in doing what we're doing today, we're working towards that. So I want to thank you all today. I'm very grateful to be here, and I look forward to sharing an honoring song with you all at some point later on. So, Indigenous, thank you all.
Thank you for those words. So everyone, this morning we're going to end our awareness gathering with some songs. We're just going to take a minute to remove the podium, and then we will invite the drummers up to end the morning in song and prayer.
We're gonna sing two songs. This first song is called the Morning song. And it's a traditional song that's been sung on these lands for generations. And it acknowledges the land, it acknowledges the days, and the beauty really of the land is what this song is about. It's a song that traditionally was sung every day as the sun would come up. It was a song to greet each and every day. So we'll start with this opening song, and really, like I said, it's very fitting to acknowledge the land on this day and every day, but especially with the events of today, it's to acknowledge the women. So with that, this is our first song, the Cree morning song. In Cree, it's just saying, wake up, daylight is coming, the birds are already singing, and this land looks so very beautiful. I'd also like to thank my friend here, William, for coming with me today to come share the songs and sing. And anytime we hit the drum and you sing songs, it's always done in a good way, with hopes that we could draw in good energy, good healing, loving energy, and that we can all take something good home to our own fires. So I'm very grateful to be able to bring the drum today and sing a couple of songs. The second song is, we call it the grandmother song. So it's to acknowledge
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for those beautiful songs. So for now, that concludes our Town of Devon awareness event for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. I would just like to again say how grateful I am to everyone here today. A massive amount of support that we've received from, of course, our mayor, the RCMP, our residents, and our brothers and sisters of Muskegee, Enoch, Cree Nation. I thank you all for being here today. And as a closing words, I guess, keep each of those that have been impacted by this violence, by racism, by hate, in your thoughts and your prayers today, and every day moving forward. Let's work together as allies to make sure that this violence ends, and keep working together as relatives, as brothers and sisters, and as friends to ensure everyone's safety. Hey, kanats kom to now. Mercy, and thank you, everyone.